Hello all my European friends, and welcome to Purity as Our Legacy. When I look back on doTERRA's legacy, I have to, of course, think a lot about the early days, and Europe was a big part of those early days. Back then we knew about the power of essential oils, but we were also very much aware of the adulteration that was commonplace in the essential oil market. Really, no one was selling 100% pure essential oils, and instead the market was generally flooded with companies who focused on profit and not necessarily purity. While sourcing pure essential oils is not the easiest route to take, we knew it was the route that we had to take. And we also knew that we had to be different. We wanted to introduce essential oils to every household, every family. We knew that they deserved the very best quality essential oils that could be had. And this is what we set out to do. So in today's event, you're going to have the opportunity to hear about why quality essential oils and the steps that doTERRA takes to ensure that essential oil quality and what we do to produce those pure oils is so important to us. You know, we have to source them in a sustainable manner. We have to do it in a way that empowers the communities that we serve. And of course, there's nothing like seeing the impact of doTERRA's sourcing practices in person. I feel very fortunate to have been able to travel to so many different locations where we have our co-impact sourcing projects around the world. Nothing compares to being there in person, to speaking directly with these farmers and harvesters. And just recently, I returned from Somaliland, where of course we source most of our frankincense essential oil. And I was out there not only visiting the harvesting villages where our frankincense is harvested, up in the mountains, usually far, far away from any civilization, but I also was there for the grand opening of our new hospital that we've been building out there for the last 4 years. I'm not going to say much about that today because we're going to talk a lot more about that in less than 2 months now at our global convention. But I just want to say it is truly a miracle. The results that are happening with that hospital are fantastic and amazing. I hope that people understand that when they buy a bottle of frankincense, they are absolutely and directly contributing to that hospital, for example, and the more than 2,000 people that it served in its very first month of operation. I hope you see that in every other bottle of essential oil. Each bottle of essential oil has a similar story to that. So we want you to be able to be out there and to experience these for yourselves, and we look forward to that. I know I've heard countless stories and experiences from our leaders and other wellness advocates who have been on these sourcing trips and who experienced this and have experienced this legacy, and it generally changes their life forever. So later today, we have some exciting news about how even more of you will be able to visit some of these locations and meet our inspirational growers. So I hope that you're inspired and excited by today's event. And more than that, I hope that we'll be able to meet again in person soon. There's nothing quite like that. And we look forward to gathering with you again in the future, hopefully very, very soon. Thanks so much, and look forward to seeing all of you again. Thank you.
It is just amazing to see in person and on the ground how doTERRA is working with the farmers and to see the distilleries and the labs on the ground. And I love to be on those trips, and I would like to take my whole team into our suitcase to show everyone because it's so amazing to see it's real. And I'm very excited about this great quality, and also to talk to the people who make this happen. I recommend to all of you, just go on these trips, because this makes you so confident, knowing and learning about the reality of sourcing and producing these quality of the oils, so you can boldly share with everyone. It gives you so much confidence, and I just can say, be on the next trip.
Millions of people globally have come to rely upon essential oils for their beneficial effects. Used consistently, essential oils support the healthy function of body systems and help maintain a state of homeostasis. Because of their popularity, many new companies have sought to capitalize on market trends and sell essential oils. Unfortunately, there is a myth that all essential oils are created equal, that the lavender you buy online or in your local grocery store is the same quality as doTERRA essential oils. But this couldn't be further from the truth. doTERRA isn't just the largest essential oil company in the world. doTERRA essential oils are the most tested and trusted brand of essential oils as well. Quite frankly, we aren't comparing apples to apples when we compare doTERRA to store-bought essential oils. No, when people compare doTERRA essential oils to other brands, we're often comparing apples to a durian. The problem is that the quality and purity of essential oil determines whether an essential oil provides beneficial responses in the body. And the majority of these upstart companies are poorly qualified to determine essential oil quality and purity. What is the answer to this problem of adulterated and poor quality essential oils flooding the market today? The answer is meticulous testing. Testing and purity go hand in hand, and purity is the most important characteristic of an essential oil, closely followed by composition. If an essential oil isn't pure, you run the risk of germs, heavy metals, or adulterants entering your body, which can provoke adverse reactions such as irritation and even sickness. doTERRA's industry-leading CPTG testing process involves a series of tests and meticulous protocols to ensure purity, potency, and consistency batch to batch. Combined with our unique sourcing model called co-impact sourcing, the CPTG process safeguards each bottle of doTERRA essential oils you use against added fillers, synthetic ingredients, and harmful contaminants. I think it's important to call out the co-impact sourcing process here. The quality and composition of an essential oil is dependent on intrinsic and extrinsic factors as the plant grows. A plant's essential oil composition continually adapts to the plant's internal and external environment. The plant creates essential oils as secondary metabolites when they are needed to defend the plant against predators or pathogens, aid tissue healing processes, attract pollinators, or participate in plant-to-plant communication. Our co-impact sourcing strategy gives us visibility at all aspects of the plant cycle, from seed selection to planting, cultivation to harvesting, and everything in between. Co-impact sourcing allows us to control for important factors that lead to quality and to partner with local experts to produce the highest quality essential oils in the world. Once the plant is harvested, care is taken to preserve plant integrity and essential oil quality until it is extracted from the botanical material. Distillation and extraction of aromatic molecules is both an art and a science, and doTERRA leverages years of experience and modern technologies and techniques to produce the best essential oils you can buy. In addition to ensuring purity, the CPTG process evaluates the chemical composition of essential oils to make sure that the ideal ratio of volatile organic compounds are present for maximum efficacy and reliable results. For example, we don't simply want to know that linalool and linaloyl acetate are present in lavender essential oil, but how much of each are present in the oil and what ratio in comparison to each other they are present within the oil. Determining this and comparing constituent amounts and ratios to an established standard helps confirm that you will get the intended results from using doTERRA lavender essential oil, or any other doTERRA oil for that matter. Chemistry is the foundation of pure, high-quality essential oils. The CPTG process doesn't use one single test, rather it leverages several tests layered one on top of another to identify its chemical composition, physical properties, and rule out impurities and adulterants in each essential oil versus a stringent standard. Of great importance is the database the essential oils are tested against. Quality and purity standards should be established from scientifically validated standards, pharmacopoeia standards, peer-reviewed research, publications, and a database created from the evaluation and testing of thousands of essential oil samples. Then, a qualified and experienced chemist must review the results. Recently, the National Center for Natural Products Research compared authentic lavender essential oil samples to commercial samples and concluded that from 25 to 90% of commercial lavender essential oil samples are adulterated, either with cheaper substitutes or the addition of synthetic chemicals. Similarly, a recent report by the American Botanical Council found that about half of 43 commercial tea tree essential oil samples tested in 3 analytical laboratories did not meet the chemical composition of authentic tea tree oil. With doTERRA, you don't need to worry about this. Our CPTG process ensures that you get pure, natural, and authentic essential oils in every bottle. You can use doTERRA essential oils with confidence and an understanding that your body will positively respond to their purity and potency.
Hi, my name is Martin O'Sullivan and I'm the manufacturing manager here in doTERRA in Ireland, and I'd like to introduce you to one of our senior chemists on site, Colleen Kelly.
Hi Martin, it's great to be here today.
So for those of you who are unaware, the Cork facility opened in October 2020, and by the end of 2021 our aim is to supply over 90 different oils to the European market. However, it's not just a manufacturing facility we have in Ireland, we also have a quality control lab, which is a very important aspect of what we do.
Yes, so Martin, we actually have a state-of-the-art lab here on site. It's split up into 2 different labs. So we have a chemistry lab and a microbiology lab. We do testing on all oils that come here on site. So from raw materials when they first come in to if they need blend and refine, all the way through to our finished products. This ensures the purity of the oil throughout its whole life cycle. We do a wide range of testing here on site. We do our analytical tests. They include HPLC, GC and ICP. We use a mass detector on all of them, so it just increases our sensitivity and our results. We then have concentration and purity tests. These include refractive index, optical rotation and specific gravity. And then we do our ID tests. So that'll be FTIR and organoleptics, and I'm going to talk you through them now. So for organoleptics, it's split up into 3 different tests. Okay. So we have appearance, colour and odour. We have 2 oils here. I've masked the labels on them because there's one commercially bought oil that we got online, and then there's one of our own dōTERRA oils.
Okay.
So the first test we'll do is appearance. The idea is we have specs for all of our oils. So for this particular oil, the spec says that it should be semi-opaque mobile liquid. So the first thing to do is if you take it out of the holder here and we put it against a white tissue paper, just to ensure that there's nothing affecting the color. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's clear, semi-opaque, and it is quite viscous. Okay.
So the color then is the next one. So for the color for this on the spec says that it should be colorless to light yellow.
So it looks like it's very, very light yellow.
Yeah. And then the next one is odor, so smell, which is one of the most important ones. So what we do is we whiff it towards our nose and see if the oil.
So it's quite soft.
Yeah.
And it lingers, and as I put it away, I can still smell it in my palate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, that's good. So I won't say anything until you compare it against the other oil.
And this is sample B.
Yeah.
So.
Again, so for appearance, you want it to be semi-opaque mobile liquid.
Looks very similar to the first sample. It's semi-opaque, it's mobile.
Perfect. And then color-wise, is it similar again?
It is slightly lighter, but very similar.
Okay. And then smell. So again, if you just put it towards your nose.
So that's quite sharp and intense.
Yeah.
But it disappears. It dissipates very quickly, as if it's gone.
Yeah. So if you put the two together there, just so you can see the difference side by side, I suppose, on the colour, semi-opaque, mobile liquid.
So this sample here on my right is slightly darker.
Yeah.
Both are mobile.
Yeah. So I suppose this is kind of one of the main indications for if an oil is synthetic or natural. So they both look very similar, but the main difference is the odour. So with the natural product, the oils tend to be a bit softer when you first reach it to the nose, and then the oil lingers, the smell lingers on your nose for an extended period of time afterwards. Whereas with the synthetic oil, it's a very sharp, intense smell that you get straight away, but it's gone nearly as quickly as it comes. So that's one of the main differences between a synthetic oil and a natural oil.
It looks visually the same. So without that level of testing, it's hard to tell the difference of which is real and pure and which is synthetic and manufactured.
Following on from the organoleptics test, the next test we do is FTIR, molecular compound identification and quantification. In simple terms, that just means that it's an identity test.
Like a fingerprint?
Yeah, very like a fingerprint, exactly. So what happens is you have an instrument, you put your oil onto the prism, an infrared light passes through that oil and hits the detector, and then it creates a unique fingerprint spectra for that component. So each of your different components in the oil will have its own fingerprint spectra.
That's how we tell which oil is pure and which oil is not.
Yeah, so you'll know for all of our oils we have standards for them. So when we get, for instance, the lavender oil, we have a standard on site. The lavender oil sample has to match our standards to 95% or greater. So I actually ran these two oils on the FTIR. The results that came back, so for our lavender oil, for the dōTERRA oil, came back as 99%. The oil that we bought out of house didn't come back as a lavender match at all.
Even though we did buy a lavender oil?
We did buy a lavender oil, yeah.
That's interesting.
It didn't match at all with our lavender, which is very unusual because only one oil was detected and that was actually a blend. So what it's suggesting is that the oil is made up of a combination of different things as opposed to just your single lavender.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's good. So you can tell that by the different spectras and the peaks they're all identifying for them. After finding out that the oil wasn't what we expected it to be, the next test would be GC mass spec. So GC is short for gas chromatography. GC mass spec, what it does is that it separates components out of your sample and identifies them. So now we know that it's not aligned, our oil isn't aligned with our lavender standard. So what the next thing to do is to find out exactly what the components are that are in that oil.
Okay.
So with GC, what's involved is there's two different stages. So you have your stationary phase and you have your mobile phase. Your stationary phase is your column, and and then your mobile phase is your gas. So for the instance of this test, we use helium, and what it does is you inject your sample onto the column, the gas then moves the sample through your column and then onto your detector. And then your detector then gives you a chromatogram or a spectra for that. So these are the two results we got for the two oils. These peaks are all the components that are within the oils. There's one big peak that's not in the other peak. This peak is isopropyl myrazate. So that's actually in your synthetic oil. It's not in our natural oil. And that's a big indicator as to know whether an oil is natural or synthetic or chemically modified. What isopropyl myrazate is it's an ester of isopropyl alcohol, and that's used widely in cosmetics and also in medicinal, like topical solutions, where the desire is for skin absorption. So it's chemically added to this, and as you can see, it makes up a massive proportion. I suppose with the synthetic oil, you're buying 40% of an alcohol as opposed to your lavender oil, whereas with ours we don't have that added at all because obviously it's 100% natural.
Why do we do these tests? Why is quality control so important?
It's very important to any successful business, quality control. It ensures that the products that we give to our customers, they meet and even exceed their expectations. Quality control tests are there to ensure safety, efficacy. That gives us the confidence to know that the oils and the products that we're giving to our customers are the highest and the best quality out there. And that's something that we're very proud of here in dōTERRA.
Well, Colleen, I must say thank you. It's been very useful to have you explain this as a senior chemist on site, and just to explain some of the testing that takes place, why we do it, and what it means to not only us but our customers out in the field.
I would recommend to everybody, if there's any chance, to go on an incentive trip, because it's like having children. You can understand everything in theory, but experiencing it in reality is much more intense and gives you even more trust in the oils and in dōTERRA and in everything.
And you can learn something. When we saw the distilleries, we saw all the details, how they prepare the raw material, how they put it in the bottles, how they test it, and so on and so on. So that was really, really good.
And believe me, it smells amazing. Do you remember the green mandarin?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Melissa in Bulgaria? That was amazing.
Hello, we are happy to be here with you to talk about sourcing, co-impact sourcing, the Healing Hands work that is done globally and especially in the Europe region, and how all of these build a legacy for everything that dōTERRA has been doing and will continue to do moving forward. My name is Tim Valentiner. I'm the Vice President of Global Strategic Sourcing for dōTERRA, and I'm very grateful to be joined here today with Sheldon Wardwell, who is a key member of our sourcing team and based in Europe. Sheldon, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Tim. Happy to be here with all of you guys and happy to be here with you, Tim. My name is Sheldon. I'm the sourcing manager responsible for overseeing Eastern Europe and North Africa.
Thanks, Sheldon. I mean, the owners of dōTERRA, as we know, have set up an incredible foundation base for what they envisioned dōTERRA to become. And I think it's exceeded even probably their initial expectations. And a lot of this is bringing the gifts of the earth, the power and potency of essential oils to every single home around the world. And a big part of bringing those gifts of the earth to people's homes is through sharing them in the model that they've created, but also being deliberate in how and where we source our oils and the raw materials that go in to create these incredible products. How have you seen the sourcing guiding principles be applied in practice in some of the supply chains you manage?
Sure, so as I mentioned before, I'm overseeing the sourcing from the Siberian forest, pretty much down to Greece in North Africa. with the exception of Albania and Bulgaria. For me, legacy is really important, and helping to work to make the world a better place and to help build a more inclusive agriculture system in these countries. I think of my job as a sourcing manager more as a development worker, a sustainable development worker. To give some examples of our approach, when I first started back in 2017, I went up to Siberia, and I went, 800 kilometers into the Siberian forest, where we got to meet dozens of small scale, they're called pictovars. I think the translation is Siberian fir needle cookers. And they're spanning across hundreds of miles in the Siberian forest, where there's very little livelihood opportunities. And they told me that they've never seen a purchaser up in those parts. And I would just say, in addition to the thousands of livelihood opportunities that we create for people, that just having the personal relationship and being there on the ground and developing and nurturing that relationship goes a long ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big part, like you said, of the legacy is really trying to develop these meaningful relationships and what we call our global botanical network, which is really just a lot of people that have been producing essential oils for, in many cases, generations. And we're really trying to tap into their expertise, knowledge, understanding, and trying to take them, to next levels.
Over the last couple of years, I've been involved with our sourcing partner, establishing a new distillery in Moldova, which I'll be going to next week. And later this month, we're planning to have the grand opening and turn on the distillation units for the first time. But as far as legacy goes, I think it's about, trying to build a world as it should be. And Moldova is a very interesting, beautiful country. It happens to be the poorest country in all of Europe, but the people there are very resilient, lovely people, very kind of self-sufficient. So through our sourcing partner in Moldova, we're providing the seeds, the technical know-how, the harvesting equipment, and long-term agreements and on-time payments, which is really rare.
What's typical in the industry for essential oil production, but in many cases, this is across the board for farming in general. Small farmers are typically the last person to get paid in any kind of a supply chain. And we've turned that on the head. We want farmers to be the focus and to be paid first, on time, and even with contract arrangements in place, so that they know that what they're planting now, which in many cases are 7, 8, even 10, 15-year long plants.
All the things we've been talking about have a tremendous ripple effect. So as you said, this sort of the dialogue that we have, that we are paying them fairly, that we're sharing information, being transparent, being inclusive, the satisfaction this brings farmers compared to if they were just showing up and dropping off their raw material with no information, and they're totally at the mercy of a buyer, is completely different. So when it goes to like trying to build the type of world that it should be, we're giving a lot of farmers a purpose that they really enjoy.
Sheldon, we can't let you go without telling us for a minute about the amazing thing happening in Sanag region with the hospital there.
Sure. So I've actually just made it back to London. I've been gone for the last 4 months, but we managed to open up the Sanag Specialty Hospital, which has been underway for the last 4 years. It's been one of my primary projects. I'd say in terms of legacy, it's as big as it gets. This is one of the most remote, undeveloped, conflict-affected parts of the world, and it has some of the highest maternal and child mortality rates. And we've built an amazing hospital, which is now employing over 100 people. We're about 6 weeks into operations, and we've already treated over 3,000 people, performed 33 surgeries, which could have never been performed in this region before. So it's really an amazing model that doTERRA, I think, is extremely good at. A lot of companies, you know, they'll set up a foundation, but it has really nothing to do with their operations. And doTERRA has a really great model where we're utilizing our purchasing power to give people jobs and livelihoods and a sense of purpose. And then we're doing these meaningful projects in the community. So it's a really amazing opportunity. I'm grateful every day that I get to go to work. So thank you guys all for everything that you're doing.
Yeah, none of this would be possible without the amazing wellness advocates and all the hard work they do to educate, train, teach about how and where and when to use essential oils, and being able to help understand the sourcing and origin of the oils as well is such a key part of, you know, who doTERRA is and what we're all about. We love the Europe market. We have a lot of work happening there with sourcing. As you can see, Sheldon is in London currently, was in Greece just prior to that, is heading to Moldova next week. Was in Bulgaria a few weeks ago. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow to go to Albania. So there's a lot of love for Europe and all the amazing work that's happening there. And we love being able to help provide opportunities for wellness advocates to come and see these sourcing operations, but bringing our wellness advocates to Italy, hopefully to Greece at some point, to Turkey, to Moldova. You've all been, hopefully, or if not in the future, can go to Bulgaria and Albania. So we're excited to be able to help continue providing these insights and hands-on experiences and opportunities for all of our wellness advocates in Europe to visit the supply chains that are based in Europe and doing a tremendous work in implementing these sourcing guiding principles in everywhere that we're able to source the best and help the most. So Sheldon, thank you so much for your time today. Love talking through all of this with you. And we're so grateful for all the work that's being done by the Europe market.
Thanks, Tim.
Hello to all our wellness advocates and oil lovers. Sourcing trips are an amazing opportunity for so many new leaders. Being able to meet our growers and experience the sourcing methods in person is so powerful and gives an incomparable insight into doTERRA and its legacy. We are here today in the company of 3 empowered women, our beloved doTERRA leaders, that will share with us on the impact of doTERRA sourcing trips. Hello, Tanya Daniels, Elena Chimpoescu, and Rosie Greeny. We love using our oils every single day, and sourcing trips give us the opportunity to see behind the bottle on how plants, flowers, and resins become essential oils. Tanya, you've been to several trips. How is a sourcing trip different from just a regular trip?
That's a really good question. I remember when I got an invitation for the first co-impact sourcing trip, we were invited to dōTERRA in Bulgaria. It was just wonderful. And at first I thought it will be some days of vacation, but it was much more than that. We got to know the company leaders, the managers. We got to connect with other families because some other leaders also brought their children. So it made a huge impact on our children as well to understand what we were doing. We worked for Healing Hands because doTERRA is supporting an orphanage there as well. So we assembled bikes, and that made an impression of my children as well. And my daughter, from that moment on, she says, when I'm old as you, I'm going to become a wellness advocate as well, because I want to help children who lost their parents. That's what we can do with doTERRA. So that was the impression that it made on my family. And of course it was more than that, because we really got to see the production. We got to visit the fields, and on the trip to the lavender fields, we first stopped on a lavender field that was not a doTERRA field, and I was amazed. It was such a sweet aroma, the colors was beautiful. And then we had to drive on. We were, no, we don't want to drive on, but we had to drive on to the doTERRA field. The difference of those two fields, it was incredible. The doTERRA field, that was living. It was vibrating life. There were bees, there were butterflies, and it was just, I was speechless. But nevertheless, we were allowed to go, you know, to do the doTERRA shoots, to go into the field and make that selfie. And I decided that's the perfect moment to go live and tell how amazing this is. And so I was there pushing the live button. But I couldn't say a word. I was just smiling and breathing and smiling, because there's calmness all around me and happiness and bliss. And that was just incredible to experience that, to get to see the distillery, to get to see the tests that are done there. It was everything was explained. So that's not a vacation. That's so much more. It made an impact on us, because it's not only important to connect with others, which is very important. It brought us long-term relationships with other wellness advocates, really friendships that we have now. But it's also so important to see the story behind the bottle, to connect with the people who actually produce the oils.
Thank you so much. Those are wonderful memories. And they sound like things that should be passed on, definitely. I've also been to dōTERRA in Bulgaria, and I remember thinking that all wellness advocates should experience something like this. Thank you again, Tanya. Now, let's go to Elena. You and your team also have had the opportunity to see our distilleries, the ones in Italy and in Bulgaria. And I remember this year, during our Stronger Together connection, that the news of a brand new European distillery in Moldova has touched your heart in a very significant way. Can you share with us why, and actually what does that mean to you?
Yes, thank you. And that means a lot. But to answer that, for you to understand me, and to answer why, I have to start from the beginning, with my journey in doTERRA. When I started in 2017, for me personally, it was not just do the business for the business or just to earn money. Even it was obvious this will happen on the way. Also, it was not just for the words, yeah? Even if I knew their power, I also knew and understand that the oils are just tools that need to be put in hands and mindset of the people, first of all, for them to reveal their power. And for me, doTERRA was from the beginning about more and more than that. It was beyond that. It was beyond the visible things, oils and business. Was and still is about helping others to empower themselves, their lives and their families, to help as many people as I can to shift their mindset to a new life. Yeah, not just to a new mindset, but to a new life. And that's, for me, it's like a personal legacy, if you want to say. And that's how I started. That's how my journey started. But that's just the first level of visibility. Because in the moment I had the opportunity and the good luck to go into a sourcing trip. First of all, it was in Sicily, and after that it was in Bulgaria. The level of visibility changed. and I saw beyond what was near me. For the first time, I saw in reality the other side of my work, the other side of the bottle, and even the other side of my rank. In Bulgaria, I witnessed the extraction of the Melissa plant, and one of the farmers was also witnessing the process. And when the oil came, I looked at the smile, the big smile, and the happiness on his face, and that just made me cry. And at that moment, I truly understood how much good and change do our work in the world beyond what we see. And in that moment, of course, I couldn't not to think about my home country, Moldova, because it's in the similar situation and similar needs there. The fact is, what you have to maybe to know, it was that I was that village girl that worked on the lands. And I'm very, very aware from a personal experience what are the true challenges for the growers and the farmers. Still, in Moldova, there are a lot of owners of very good soils and lands, but because of the situation created there after Soviet Union fall apart, most of them are very, very, very poor. That's why a lot of them immigrated in different countries to be able to provide for their families. Well, I did also at one point lived from Moldova as many others, but part of my heart will always remain there. Sorry. And in Bulgaria, seeing the lands, the people, that happy crying farmer, I thought, oh, this could be a legacy I can leave to the people in the country that raised me. And I was dreaming that in one day I will do a distillery there. And you can imagine that at the convention, I'm still crying, at the Together 2021 convention, when it was announced that the construction of the distillery in Moldova, it's ongoing process already. I think you can imagine my thoughts and my feelings. It 1 month passed, but I still have those feelings and thought. It's like a dream that came true long before I thought it will happen. And now I do feel that my work, it's directly and now indirectly, and at the first level, and also more and more deeper levels of visibility, it's a legacy work. And it's not now like it was in the beginning, just for the family or for my community, not only for the people in my team, but also now it's for my home country. And yes, I know, I'm aware that doTERRA is doing good all around the world. And it was already lifting up for me. But this time, it's like a double motivation for me. It's a legacy and an impact that I feel I do now more and in doTERRA and also for my country, like it's 2 in 1 or 3 in 1. And the phrases we hear from doTERRA, for example, source the best and help the most, or impact and help on both sides of the bottle, now they have more meaning for me now than ever before. So I'm already in emotions, so I think that's the whole thing I will say it for today. But I hope we will go together in a trip there in Moldova when it will be done, and I will cry for all of you.
Thank you very much. That was very, very heart-touching as well, and we I can say that we are all looking forward to going on a trip to Moldova soon. Well, Rosie, you and your husband as well are amazing when promoting the trips, the sourcing trips, and you believe that they represent the heart of our company. What resonates with you about doTERRA's special relationships with its growers?
I suppose when I think about growers, I think before I joined doTERRA, I never thought about the supply chain, and I never thought about the impact it has when people are further removed from the supply chain, from the end user. And it was like Elena said, that sometimes we see what we're doing, but we don't see what other people are doing. And I think the biggest thing that I suppose as an advocate is to know that because doTERRA works directly with the supplier or the grower, that they have so much influence on our end product. But I think it's hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And when Elena was saying that, to know that some of them come from nowhere, like they come from nothing, and it's literally their bread and butter. And I suppose one thing is knowing that they're getting more money is a huge thing. To know that when we sell a bottle of oil, the grower is really getting a huge contribution of that. But I think the other thing that's really powerful with doTERRA is that the grower can tell the needs of the country, and so many people want to abuse the grower. You need us, we want your product. But for them to understand that they're part of doTERRA's bigger vision, it's huge. Like it's a huge thing for them. And I think some of them are very humble, and they need help so badly. And to have someone like doTERRA saying to them, okay, now we've got you worked out financially and your crops are growing, what do you need and what can we help with? It must be beyond their wildest dreams to be able to tell them the needs of their community, because their community are what makes them what they are. And I think, when we think about the oils coming through the supply chain, there's literally so much love the whole way along that supply chain that I think sometimes when people open a bottle of essential oil, it's like what Elena said, it's the invisible things. They don't realize what they're holding is giving so much to a community, much more than wages. We think wages. And I just think about one of the things I always think about is David Sterling saying that, we don't want to just constantly give a handout. We want to create economies for these countries. And when you think about it on a political level, one of the reasons why Kirk Jowers joined doTERRA was because he worked in the law for so long. And he said, I realized I couldn't make an impact in economies like I thought I could. And when I look at what doTERRA is doing in their model, they're literally creating economies in third world countries. And if doTERRA continue to do that, and we continue to push forward, then, there'll be a day when they're not a third world country, and that will come only from economies. So I think sometimes we're busy, we're doing our oils and we're sharing a bottle of essential oil. But I think when we step back and we look at the bigger picture and we see that we are creating economies in third world countries, we're doing something that not many people can do to the level doTERRA can do it. And for me, the reason why I think that these trips are so important is because I think sometimes people slow down with what they do in doTERRA because they're not tapped into the higher picture. And I think about a modem, like an internet modem, and you move further away from the modem, the message gets blurry, you can't hear what people are talking about, so you lose interest. And I think these sourcing trips, you're so close to the modem that you hear everything, you see everything clearly, and you understand, okay, I need to get up earlier, I need to go to bed later, I need to share oils when it's not comfortable, I need to step outside my comfort zone, and I need to be consistent. And, sourcing trips, I feel, are definitely a way to do that. For those of us who live in first world countries, it grounds us to the reality that there are people who need our help even though we can't see them. But even when I think about regular incentive trips, to get access to people who are on a higher level than you, or operating how you're operating in a different country under slightly different circumstances, it totally changes your mindset. And people pay thousands for mindset mentoring. People pay thousands to get in front of people who are where they want to be. And in doTERRA, not only are we getting that for free, but we're getting a little holiday perk with it as well. And sometimes when you want to change the world, sometimes you won't take that time for yourself. And doTERRA are giving us that time for ourselves while they're mentoring us, while they're helping us grow as a person. And they're inspiring us and motivating us to be consistent with our activity. And as anybody knows, when you're employed, if you don't turn up, you get fired. When you work for yourself, when you hit a wall and it's uncomfortable to overcome it, it's easy to shy away from that. But I think things like incentive trips or sourcing trips, they create that burning desire to be consistent because the rewards are so high. And we have never missed a trip that we've been invited to, because we see the value in it so much. And I suppose I really want other people to see that value. You know, if you have a goal in doTERRA and you can't achieve it, go on a trip, qualify for a trip. It is going to be worth everything to you, your mindset, and to shift your perspective. So if you're sitting in a building and you're on the ground floor, you know, somebody else who has grown more than you, it's like they're on the 28th floor. And every trip you get to, you're that little bit higher in the building, you can see more. And you can bring that home to whoever it is that you're mentoring. You know, you can see the business from a different level. So just the power of those trips, I can't say enough about going to them, qualifying for them, and helping to see the big picture. Like when we talk about legacies, you know, sometimes we can lose sight of our big picture. And when we hear somebody else's, it just motivates us to move towards our original vision that maybe we've forgotten a little bit about.
Wow. Dear Tanya, dear Elena, dear Rosie, it has been amazing to connect with you on such an inspirational topic. Our dear wellness advocates and future leaders, we wish you all the best in qualifying and experiencing yourself what this kind of a sourcing and legacy trip can bring for you, for your growth in doTERRA. See you on our next trip. Goodbye.
The legacy trip will be an amazing opportunity to go behind the scenes of the essential oils production. It will offer a unique opportunity to experience how doTERRA's co-impact sourcing model produces the purest essential oils and empowers growers and communities across the world. In addition, and this is my favorite part, we will grow and develop together. We will be able to meet the farmers and growers and experience firsthand their day-to-day efforts in growing the most precious and potent essential oils. And each event will provide opportunities to make connection and receive leadership training from doTERRA's most successful leaders. This trip has the potential to be your journey of growth for you and for your team. Now, let's have a look together what the legacy trip is really all about.
What is your legacy? How will you leave your mark on our world? At doTERRA, our legacy is sourcing the purest products and helping families and communities around the world while we do it. doTERRA Europe's legacy trips will offer a unique and inspiring opportunity to see how doTERRA's co-impact sourcing model produces the purest essential oils on earth, all while giving back to farmers, distillers, and communities, to bring you, our cherished wellness advocates, closer to the beating heart of doTERRA. Here's how it works. Wellness advocates who advance to silver or gold for the first time will have the opportunity to qualify for a legacy trip over the 12 months following their rank advancement. To qualify, first-time silvers must maintain the rank of silver or higher for 9 out of the first 12 months following their initial rank advancement and have at least one personal enrolment in each of the months in which they maintain rank. Similarly, first-time golds must maintain the rank of gold or higher for 6 out of the first 12 months following their initial rank advancement and have 2 personal enrolments in each of the months in which they maintain rank. There is no fixed qualification period. Your own personal qualification window starts from the first month you hit silver or gold. Here's an example. Let's say you achieve the rank of silver for the first time in June. Your 12-month qualification window has begun. If you maintain silver for the following 9 months and have 1 personal enrolment each month, you'll receive an invitation to the event in April of the following year. If the next trip happens to be in June next year, you'll be invited to that trip. Let's say it takes you a bit longer and you don't qualify as silver for your 9th time until May. Then you'll be invited onto the next available trip, provided that you qualify 9 times in the 12-month qualification window. Each year, both silver and gold legacy trips will be held at various sourcing destinations around Europe, with locations depending on the harvest season. These trips will be announced in advance and published on doTERRA Europe websites. Accommodation, all related trip activities and meals will be provided by doTERRA for all invited participants. Over the course of a 2-night, 3-day trip, participants will be able to visit the fields where the ingredients of our doTERRA products are grown, as well as the distillation facilities that transform these gifts of the earth into essential oils. Each event will also provide opportunities for up-and-coming builders to make connections and receive leadership training from doTERRA's most successful leaders. We look forward to you experiencing the incredible work that doTERRA is doing to source pure product, take care of the environment, and give back to communities. To find out more, please visit the doTERRA Europe websites for details.
To qualify and participate at the Legacy Trip will have the power to change your life. Let me summarize how you can qualify for this amazing opportunity of growth. If you hit silver for the very first time and maintain your rank for 9 out of 12 months, you are in. It doesn't need to be month by month, but just 9 times within 12 months. If you hit gold for the very first time and maintain your rank 6 times within 12 months, you are also in. Additionally, you have your personal enrollment number in each month you maintain your rank. So these are all the criteria, and we will make sure to support you and your team achieving those goals. The Legacy Trip will replace the current incentive trip. It is intended to provide a deeper, long-lasting experience in your life. It is more than just supporting you in rank advance and maintain your rank. It is a unique opportunity to grow. Come with us and discover your legacy journey. Now, Isaac, in addition to what we've heard so far, what else would be helpful to know about the Legacy Trip?
Thanks, Isabel. I'll now give you a few examples of how to qualify for the event and then comment on what we believe the Legacy Trips will accomplish for you and your teams. Let's say you're a Premier now and you qualify as a Silver for the first time in August of 2021, a month in which you also had a personal enrollment. August will count as the first month towards the 9 you will need to qualify for the trip. To qualify as fast as possible, you would need to maintain Silver for the following 8 months, all with at least 1 personal enrollment, and you would qualify for the trip in April of 2022. Let's say, however, that you missed qualifying for Silver for a month, or that you failed to have a personal enrollment in one of the months during which you did qualify as Silver. In either case, you can still qualify if you have met the criteria of having at least 9 months at Silver by July of 2022, which is when your 12-month window runs out. In other words, you will have 3 grace months in which you can fail to rank at Silver but still qualify for the trip. Note that each qualification window will be different for every potential qualifier. There is no fixed qualification period for any one trip. Regardless of when you qualify during the year, you'll receive an invite to the soonest silver or gold legacy trip, so long as you qualify before the deadline for that trip. If the timing of your qualification misses the deadline, you'll simply receive an invitation to the next legacy trip. Trip locations, dates, and deadlines for qualification can be found on the Legacy Trip website, so you will always be able to clearly see the trip which you are most likely to qualify for. Our first silver and gold legacy trips will be held in July of 2022 in Bulgaria and will have a cutoff month of March 2022, which means in order to attend the trip, a member must have qualified for silver 9 times by March of 2022. The cutoff dates are set in advance of the trips by a few months, so our events team has time to organize and plan the event. Because of the timing of this announcement coming at the end of July, which would only allow qualifiers who hit 9 consecutive times, including July, to qualify for the trip, we've decided that anyone who achieves silver or gold for the first time starting April of 2021 will be able to qualify for the trips. That means if you've hit silver or gold for the past 3 months, you are eligible to qualify for the 2022 legacy trips. Let's now consider a second example. Let's assume you qualified for gold for the first time in May of 2021, just 2 months ago. Because this date is after the April 2021 start date, you have the opportunity to qualify for the 2022 gold legacy trip. Over the following 12 months, your rank qualifications look as follows: silver in June, gold in July, silver in August and September, gold in October, November, and December, silver in January, February, and March, and gold in April. For simplicity's sake, let's assume that in each of these months, you had 2 personal enrollments. In April of 2022, the last month in which you could have qualified, you managed to qualify as gold and you made it in. Following the April commission run, which will occur in May of 2022, you will receive an email invitation to the soonest gold legacy trip. In this case, the event in Bulgaria in July of 2022. Now, for a note about timing of the events. Because we want to give you and your teams an optimal sourcing experience, which is most often achieved during the harvest season, the timing of events will most often need to be during the summer or early fall. Because of this, there will be a longer waiting period for those who meet their qualifications in the summer, as they will need to wait for the following summer to attend a trip, than for those who qualify in the winter or early spring. We plan to space out the trips as much as possible to allow minimal waiting time between qualification and trip attendance. What about those of you who achieved the rank of silver or gold prior to April of this year, or who are currently ranked at platinum or higher? How can you have the opportunity to attend a sourcing trip? We're happy to say that we are now well positioned to offer opportunities to nearly all ranks to attend our incredible sourcing locations. As we've outlined, legacy trips will apply to first-time silver and golds. For those who have already ranked at silver, gold, or platinum, the new Diamond Club, launching in September of 2021, offers 4 times the number of trip attendees than our previous Diamond Club trips. This change was coordinated with our legacy trip planning to allow many more of you to attend sourcing locations. To put that into context, in a normal year prior to 2021, doTERRA's Europe, Middle East, and Africa region would take roughly 150 members to sourcing locations throughout the year. With the launch of legacy trips and the revamped Diamond Club, we now plan to take nearly 500 members each year. This is a tremendous investment on behalf of doTERRA, but we do it because we believe it will be a great benefit to you and to your teams. We're also happy to say that, barring any ongoing issues brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, we are very hopeful that diamonds and above will have the opportunity to buy into doTERRA's global co-impact sourcing trips starting in 2022. These trips take place in sourcing locations all over the world, including Kenya, Nepal, Hawaii, and many more locations. We will share more information about these trips including information for those of you who previously registered for events that were canceled in 2020 in the coming months ahead. Now to conclude, a lot has been said about these trips and what they can do for you and your team, but I'd like to add just one personal experience. In 2019, I had the opportunity to visit our peppermint growers, harvesters, and distillation partners in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, India. Prior to this experience, I'd been an employee of doTERRA for 5 years and had heard many stories of our co-impact work on the ground, but I had never experienced it firsthand for myself. The trip to India changed everything about doTERRA for me. Not only did the trip leave me with zero doubt about the purity of our oils, but it gave me a glimpse into the incredible good that our co-impact supply chain does in areas where we work. With help from doTERRA, our partners on the ground in India had managed to find ways for peppermint farmers to increase their income, in many cases as much as 4 to 5 times. This is an incredible feat that was literally lifting families out of poverty. I left India completely committed to doTERRA and its mission, and I have remained that way ever since. I know that these trips to incredible sourcing locations that we have in our part of the world will do the same for you and for your teams. You've heard a lot about the Legacy trips today, but we know some questions likely will still remain. Please visit the Legacy Trip website for more details, and feel free to reach out to your account manager if you have questions that are not answered on the site. I look forward to meeting many of you next year on our first Legacy trips in Bulgaria.
Hello everybody, my name is Emily Mascarinis and I'm delighted to be here with you today to talk about the Legacy trip and how you can maintain the ranks of silver and gold in order to win the opportunity to go on this amazing trip. Now, I must say that everybody's doTERRA journey is different and your journey is the perfect journey for you. So please don't compare your journey with anyone else's. Some people move faster, some people move slower. The main thing is that you keep going, everybody can get there. So we actually reached the rank of silver after just 6 months of building our doTERRA business, and we did hit it solidly. And so after 9 months, we reached the rank of gold. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about why I believe that we hit those ranks solidly. I believe that it's mainly because we found partnership. We found people who wanted to join us and build this doTERRA business with us. And that's because we shared the opportunity and we planted those seeds in people's minds and in people's hearts. And then we nurtured them. We nurtured those seeds so they could become seedlings and so they could grow. So how did those seedlings grow? Well, again, much of it is down to connection. We made sure that we stayed connected with our team, with the people that have said that they wanted to partner with us. We stayed connected with them and we built those relationships and those friendships with our downline, but also we stayed connected to our upline at the same time because they had more experience than us and we could lean in on them for their support and their knowledge and their guidance. We made sure that we were active in helping our new team with sharing the oils, with teaching classes, and encouraged them just to get themselves started. We mentored them regularly, and we helped to build those relationships and friendships as much as we could by just checking in on a daily basis and being there for them. We also encouraged them to want to find their own team as well, to build their own doTERRA businesses and do what we were doing, and that would help them move forwards. We didn't fly the nest too soon. I think it's great to want to step into your own leadership, but if you lean out too quickly, then you won't necessarily have all the tools and all the equipment and all the experience to support your growing team. So don't try and go it alone too quickly. Use your upline just because they've been there before. They have more experience than you if they've been doing this longer than you. So we worked very closely with our upline until we reached at least diamond, but I must say that we still work closely with them and they support us still and we support them back. Okay, next, you need to think about, is there energy in your legs? We need to try and aim for strong legs in our doTERRA organisations. And if there's not energy coming in, it's going to be hard to sustain and maintain rank and volume. So if the energy is not there, it needs feeding or it needs filling. And we need to remember that we do need people who are building the business and sharing the oils within each leg, as otherwise it's all going to rest on you. You can reach the rank of silver on your own at a stretch, but that's going to be very hard to maintain on your own. So ideally, you want to find your team. You want to attract people to do this business with you. So your legs are going to grow in volume as they also share the oils and the opportunity with others, and it doesn't all rest on you. My husband Tim always says that you need to find people to do this with you who are also aiming to move forwards in their business. That way your business will also move forwards and won't become stagnant or the volume start to fade. Try not to waste volume, but it's not always easy. Ideally, we get the volume into the right positions and under the right legs so we can move forward and reach those ranks. Ideally, we have 3,000, 3,000 and 3,000 in 3 legs, so we have an overall volume of 9,000 to reach silver. Or we have 5,000, 5,000 and 5,000. 3 premier legs, and that way we will be reaching gold. But sometimes we have extra volume or volume in the wrong places, and this can affect our rank. Try and get your volume in the right place, but also know that it's not always easy. One word of advice that I remember that really spoke to my heart at a leadership convention a few years ago was, remember, you can only do your best with the information that you have at that time. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, but we don't always know what's going to happen, and we don't always know how someone on our team is going to progress, so we can only do our best at the time. We can't cast any blame on anybody. Please don't blame your downline, and please don't blame your upline. Just know that this is all part of the learning and part of the growth. So what if your legs just aren't growing? Perhaps you've got people in positions that aren't ideal for them. Well, you do have some options. If a leg is lacking in energy or volume, then it's your invitation to pack it, to fill it with new energy. Obviously, you need to be enrolling to do this so you have control of where your volume is going. Another option is that you could place a double qualifier within that leg, perhaps somewhere lower down where you may keep hold of the enrollership so you can work closely with that person, and perhaps in future you could qualify through them. That's another option for you. We suggest talking to your upline or your account manager about this because they may have had experience in this themselves and have some advice for you. We also suggest talking to your upline or your account manager and learning a little bit more about possible account transfers or move exceptions or switches that may be available to you. It's not always easy, but doTERRA sometimes may allow you to move some volume around. So it's really useful to try and understand what might be allowed and what you might be able to do so you can get volume in the right places. However, sometimes the best decision is just to start a fresh new leg. If a leg really isn't moving forward and you've reached a point where you really feel that you need to start afresh, perhaps you've got a new builder who's really activated and excited, and it feels like the right thing to do for that person to go into a brand new, fresh position, as opposed to go into an existing position, then perhaps you might just want to start a brand new leg. And it's amazing how a leg with a builder at the top who is really committed and energized can sometimes overtake an existing leg very quickly. Obviously, it's all case by case. Every scenario is different. So we really do suggest you speak to your upline or your account manager to weigh up your options and to form a plan. It's really important that you know your volume. How often are you checking your back office? Tim has always been very good at checking our volume. So we need to know what we have in order to know what we need to reach ranks. We need to know what volume we have within our organizations so we know how far off we are from reaching ranks. Or perhaps it might be that we are behind. Or perhaps it might be that we're doing really well that month. But if you're not checking your volume and your account every day, how can you possibly know what you have to work with? If you are checking your account regularly, you'll start to understand the average volume that is coming in within your business. Tim would have an average breakdown of volume that would come in from day to day. So he knows when we're doing well, or he knows when we're on track, or he also knows if things are looking a little bit low in certain legs. And that allows us to make plans to do what we need to do before the end of the month to make that up. Encourage your team to track their volume too. They can't just rely on you to do this. They need to understand and they need to keep track so that they can plan ahead too. This is a really big one. So IPE stands for the inviting, the presenting, and the enrolling. This way, you are taking control of your business. And if your business is not progressing, then it's no one's fault but yours. When you have this attitude and this ownership of your business, you set a precedent for the rest of your team. And not only that, when you are introducing new energy into your organization, it lifts everybody and inspires everybody, including you. Know that it's not always going to be easy. It's not supposed to be. Know that the hurdles are there and placed in your way. The challenges happen for you, not to you. Again, if you're feeling disheartened or discouraged, use your oils, but know that this is all part of the lessons that you need and your growth and your journey. I want to invite you to enjoy your own journey. doTERRA invites us into such a beautiful opportunity where we get to change our own lives and help others at the same time. We get to rewrite our own legacy. And this legacy trip is all about that. So good luck in reaching silver, reaching gold, and maintaining those ranks. And hopefully I'll be seeing you guys on a trip soon.
Wenn man sich damit beschäftigt, wie Unternehmen Produkte beschaffen und was alles so dahinter steckt, dann ist genau das ja etwas, was bei doTERRA sehr, sehr stark überzeugt. Und gerade auf den Sourcing-Trips, wenn wir die Gelegenheit bekommen, in die Destillation zu gehen und dort tatsächlich auch Menschen bei der Arbeit zu sehen, Bauern zu sehen, die damit ihren Lebensunterhalt verdienen und damit jetzt eine finanzielle Unabhängigkeit erreichen, dann ist es etwas, was mich doTERRA noch viel, viel verbundener fühlen lässt und wo ich weiß, dass ja, wir alle genau am richtigen Platz sind.
Thanks to each of you for attending this one-of-a-kind event. I hope that you are inspired and see how your legacy fits into doTERRA's legacy of purity. Thank you to all of you who have participated. The stories you've shared were powerful and profound. As you continue your doTERRA journey, we hope that these legacy trips will be a constant motivating and guiding star. Link your efforts to qualify for these trips with Power of 3 and Empowerment Bonus. Utilize Diamond Club. Work closely with your account managers and market development managers to find your most efficient path. Share this program with your team. Help them to qualify. Your path to your next rank or to solidifying your current rank takes dedication and consistency. Similarly, the path to purity isn't the easiest route. I remember my first experience seeing the distillation process in person in Queenstown, New Zealand. We jumped in the back of some rugged Land Rovers that could traverse the steep and rugged terrain. Once at the top, we saw a field of young Douglas fir trees that had only begun their journey to choke out the native vegetation. We went to work for the next few hours, removing these trees and loading them into a large trailer. At that altitude, it was hard work. As we descended from the high altitudes, caught our breath, and reached the basin, a small portable distillation unit was waiting for us. I was able to load the branches and close the lid. It was magic watching the oil and water diverge in the small glass separator. It was such a small amount of oil, but it helped me to appreciate how lucky we are to have dedicated partners who work tirelessly to bring us the best, the purest essential oils. My most recent trip to Moldova captured my heart once again. Seeing the development of a remarkable project in a beautiful country touched my soul. Walking the lands with one of our partnering farmers, Mr. Boris, renewed my hope in our model to source the best and help the most. Currently in Moldova, we have about a dozen farmers working with us. Over the next few years, that number will grow by over 10-fold. These farmers will have a renewed hope and trusted partner. They will have a partner that cares about their land, a partner that delivers on-time payments and expertise when needed. All of this made possible by you. This is part of your legacy. These two experiences have changed the way I view essential oils. They have changed the way that I use essential oils. It isn't possible for me to open those tiny black lids without thinking back to the mountains of New Zealand or the crop rows in Moldova. In a very real way, it has become part of me. I can't wait for you to have similar experiences and participate in one of these meaningful trips. I can't wait for you to spend time in the fields working the land alongside our incredible farmers. I can't wait for you to see the oil flowing. A legacy is what we hope to leave behind to the world, to our community, and to our family when all is said and done. Until we meet in the flowered fields of Bulgaria, the rolling hills of Moldova, the rustic beauty of Sicily, or the scenic climes of Albania, dream, work, and build your legacy.